You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome in to another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down a wild home opener for the Niagara IceDogs to begin their home calendar here in the 24-25 OHL season. Advancing to 4-0 on the season, a dream start for a team that has gone through its fair share of struggles the last few years in front of 3,289 here at the Meridian Centre on a Sunday afternoon here in downtown St. Catharines. We'll get into all of the scoring summary, the game stats, the post-game with head coach Ben Boudreau, as well as our IceDogs player interview with rookie forward Max Crete. And we'll get Cam's stick tap of the game for his player of the game later on tonight. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in live tonight here on YouTube Live. Make sure to give us a subscribe and smash that bell if you want to see more content when we post we go live for our IceDogs post-game shows and all of our other videos and episodes here on the channel. And thank you to those today watching us or listening to us the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Please give us some love on whatever one you chose to listen to us today. Cam, I don't know if I could have remembered an IceDogs game, not including a playoff game, that was as wild and as exciting as what we saw today against the number one ranked Brampton Steelheads coming in all of the CHL. The IceDogs come in 3-0, but we thought this was going to be a real test for them. And Ben Boudreau's team, they took it to them tonight. 7-3 was the final. I don't know if you could have storybooked a better home opener.
No, absolutely not. And I think that might have been the best at least IceDogs game that I've watched in 5 seasons. An absolutely incredible performance, top to bottom. And not only that, I think when you looked at the schedule, the fact that they were able to go 3-0 on the road, we kind of talked about it before, even just making sure they didn't get swept, slow start to the season. We wanted to avoid that. They go on the road, win 3 straight against 3 great teams, and then you see the home opener against the number 1 rated team in the CHL, coming off a massive performance against London the night before, and we thought maybe let's just keep it close. That was really, what we had discussed prior to that, and man, did we not get that. That was one of the best team performances we've seen from this franchise in a long time, top to bottom.
Yeah, we'll get into all of the game stats and everything else like that. Cam, first off, what did you think of the IceDogs lineup tonight? They were without Mike Levin, and obviously Captain Gavin Bryant was out of the lineup. Nick Frasca was also out. Rafik Dayanov took warm-ups, but he ended up being out. Darcy DeWatcher, they played 7 defensemen tonight. Forgot to ask head coach Ben Boudreau about that decision. But what did you like from the way that the lineup's been structured so far? We see that young line of Zada, Rubrick, and Wasslin together. What have you liked so far from the lineup through 3 games?
Really, the chemistry. It looks like everyone's kind of falling into place and where they look to be comfortable. Kevin and Loshko early on have a really nice chemistry brewing, but more importantly, I think Rubrick with Zada and Wasslin, not just in this game, I think in the prior 2 games as well. Wasslin had 3 points, I believe, against Oshawa. A great start for them, and it really looks top to bottom. And then you put Asadorian as well. He was centering the second line tonight with Gallianov, as well as Sean Doherty, who moved up in the lineup again because of the Levin absence. And that line did its job as well. There really wasn't any forward or defenseman that didn't do or provide something for this team throughout this game. And just the start of the season, everything looks like it's falling into place. It looks like a team that's gotten a full training camp together. There's not as much turnover. We've talked about that the last few years. Even last year, we had a coaching change to head coach Ben Boudreau, I believe in November. It was early on, maybe end of October. And so he didn't get a training camp last year as head coach. So this was really the first one, and there wasn't massive roster overhauls for the most part. And we're just seeing kind of the benefits of all of that now, especially highlighted by this 7-3 win at home against Brampton.
We'll start off here with the game stats brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. They're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales with multiple locations across Niagara. So when we look at the game stats here, Cam, IceDogs outshot Brampton 13-10 in the first, 15-11 in the second, and Brampton 19-6 in the third period when the IceDogs were kind of settling back there and playing a little bit more defensively. What did you think of the shots on net? IceDogs were leading for most of it, but then again, Brampton kind of took over late in garbage time there with it being a 7-2 game.
Well, I mean, again, it's an impressive performance. I think that how the game went early on, and we'll touch on the scoring summary, but Porter Martone looks every bit as a top 5 projected pick in the NHL, this upcoming NHL draft. And we saw that 7 seconds into the game with a nice toe drag, and he fired one past Flores. And it really was the worst start you could have had, or just because, expectations are now a little bit higher. Maybe everyone's nerves are a little high. It's the home opener, and you're going up against the number 1 team, and they score like that. It just looks like, okay, it's going to be deflating. I got to be honest with you, outside of their top line, which looks to be one of the best in the OHL, they really weren't able to do anything in that first period after that goal. The IceDogs really showed some perseverance and started to bear down and really control the play. And man, more importantly, the power play looks legit. I believe coming into this game, they were leading the OHL in power play percentages at above 40%, which we talked about last year. If it was just 15, I think it was in single digits last year. If it was just 15%, we're talking about a team that could be on the edge of the playoff bubble and in a lot better spot. This is a whole nother turnaround because it looked crisp. It looked like it had the proper personnel. And again, against one of the best teams, they continued to fire tonight.
Yeah, the IceDogs were 1 for 5 on the power play, but they were actually 2 for 2 at one point.
I don't know what
One
happened
of the goals
there,
got taken away maybe as the penalty was expiring, but they were 2 for 2 at one point. Mm-hmm. The Steelheads, though, 0 for 5. So the IceDogs penalty kill goes 5 for 5 against a very lethal unit. We saw Porter Martone score that early goal, which we'll get into in the goal summary, but I feel like they really held Carson Rakoff out in check tonight. The Seattle Kraken prospect, the guy that they gave up a boatload of draft picks from the Kitchener Rangers to go and get for this year to compete for a Memorial Cup. I feel like they did a good job of limiting his time and space and giving him that wicked one-timer that we've seen, why he scored 50 goals last year with Kitchener.
I mean, Flores had a stop on him. I believe it was on the power play in the first, and that just goes to show, goes to talk about Flores, which I'm sure we're going to bring up in a little bit later on. But yeah, for the most part, they really funneled the puck through Porter Martone, and man, every time he touched the puck, it was pretty electric. Like, he was dancing through a lot of the lineup, but really just trying to force things. But they did a good job at limiting all of their other offensive weapons, I think. And by the end of it, it just looked like they were frustrated. There was no one standing around. The defense, I mean, we talked about this in the preseason episodes about how they basically moved out every single player on defense and brought in a unit of 5 that is just way harder to play against. And, Brody, Scott, Van Vliet, it was just punishing, and they didn't have any time and space. And, I think, again, just a great performance by them.
And the face-offs 31-30 in favor of the Niagara IceDogs. Did anything really stick out to you there, Cam? We'll go over quickly. Loshko 14-22, Zada 7 of 15, Asadorian 4 of 9, Ray 3 of 8 were the big boys on the face-off dot. What did you see there tonight? I mean,
if they keep this up, they're going to have a real issue on their hands because Bryant was our best face-off man last year, and he's not even in the lineup. And that's to say they went 4-0 without their captain, a 50-point player last year. So excited to get him back as well, and that's going to lead to a whole other bunch of conversations, I think, now given the start. But I think in terms of just how the face-offs have gone, there wasn't any where they were getting dominated. I think last year, Zada struggled a little bit at times on the face-off dot, and he looks much better. He looks so much more physical. We talked about that as him being potentially the player that sees the biggest jump in overall play. Last year, he played a much better two-way game than he did offensively, and now we're starting to see the offense come and, again, just improving. He's getting a lot bigger as well. But, yeah, good to see that he was about 50% on the face-off dot. That's going to be huge, again, when the team is fully healthy.
And when Flores went out, which we'll talk about, Charlie Robertson had to come in a very difficult situation, Cam. Again, it was still, I think it was a 4-1 game at that point, but again, with half the game left, Charlie Robertson actually ended up with the bulk of the saves in this game, even though Owen Flores stopped 9 of 10 before he got in the goalie fight in the game misconduct. Robertson stopped 28 of 30 in his first action of the season. In the regular season, Flores had the hot hand, so Ben Boudreau had been going back with him for his 4th straight start here, but Charlie came in a very difficult situation. He even got slashed a few times, was down, but he stayed in the game. But what did you think of Robertson coming in there in a tough spot?
Again, brutal spot, and I got to be honest with you, when that happened, there was kind of that all right, well, let's see, not super ideal. But nonetheless, he got some stops early on, and in the third period specifically, there was, again, on the penalty kill, there was a couple sequences where, again, maybe they're up by, it's 7-2, we're kind of playing passive, but there was a few times where it was 2-on-1s or breakaways, or at least plays in tight alone, where he came up with massive saves, and it just goes to show the depth of the team having a backup goalie they can rely on, and they're going to need to rely on him for at least the next 2 games.
Yeah, because Owen Flores with the game misconduct is going to miss another game going forward here, but it sounds like they were going to give Charlie a game at some point, so I guess he got half of a game here.
Yeah, and it's interesting there. Let's just get into it. Let's get into the penalty minutes. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay. Well, do you want to go to the goal summary? Or
let's do goal summary. Let's get into it.
All right. The scoring summary tonight's brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. As we mentioned, the Steelheads were the ones that, coming off a high against the London Knights last night, the OHL champions, beating them 6-3, so they were coming down here to St. Catharines for the home opener. Jack Ivankovic got the night off. Jacob Gibbons ended up getting the start for the Steelheads, but 18 seconds in, Porter Martone gets a goal, and I think that's one that Owen Flores would want back. It was just kind of like a shocker after we had the long pregame with the introductions and everything like that for the IceDogs home opener, which is the last one to happen in the league. So I think that maybe just because of how long everything was might have got the IceDogs off foot there.
I mean, it was a shooter's shot because maybe the shot wasn't it, but he had to dance around. I don't remember the defenseman that it was, but he had a nice little toe drag through the defenseman, and probably one Flores would want back. And again, I think it just goes to show, the Steelheads come in here, they just beat London, and they're going up against a team that was last in the CHL the last couple of years. All right, so maybe they expect we're going to have an easy go here. They come out immediately. Their number one player scores a very nice goal. 30 seconds in, takes the wind out of the sails of the home opener, and I think that they kind of got punched in the mouth a little bit, because the IceDogs just hemmed them in. It was a full force effort there, and again, other than that first line, which I would hazard a guess by the end of the year is going to be the number 1 line in the OHL. So that's Retkoff with Porter Martone, as well as Zelicki, I believe, was up on the first line, but nonetheless, I think that's going to mirror Sudbury's line from last year with Quentin Musty, Goyette, as well as Dalibor Dvorsky. But they aren't just one line, which I think is what maybe Sudbury's problem was last year. But because they had Misa on the second line, it was just it's a very, very impressive team. But the IceDogs as a whole, the answer back was just great, and I believe it was 5 straight goals. 6 straight goals, and it was pretty quickly. That second goal, what was the time on that second one?
8 minutes. So it was a minute and 24 seconds in between the first two goals. Ryan Robrick gets the IceDogs on the board on a nice wraparound play, and that really got the IceDogs back into it right off that start.
That was seeing Waslin with Zada and Robrick. That was a nifty play all the way around to get that, and I believe it was a nice stick lift too on the zone entry. Waslin looks like he's fitting in great, and again, I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to put up the numbers that Robrick put up last year, and I don't think they need him to.
No.
Which is important, but he's looked like a real OHL scorer, early on as a 16-year-old, and just goes a long way when you get a player like him. We talked about this right after the draft, that OHL pundits around the league said that the IceDogs, they were stunned that the IceDogs were able to get Waslin at 4 because he was projected before Belchis, kind of had that really crazy run maybe to go first. He falls all the way to the 4. The IceDogs had the odds-on protection to get the number 1 pick. They fall to 4, so you think, oh, this is a terrible situation. And now we've got another elite scorer that's fitting in perfectly with last year's 2 first-round picks in Robrick and Zada. So just a nifty play there all the way around. But it was a few minutes later, Zada's goal on the power play. This goal was one of the more fun ones to watch because it was clearly a structure, and we saw the power play struggle so much last year. And I think that was a personnel issue, simply because you've got a lot of rookies in the lineup. We didn't have a ton of top end scorers, and especially on the back end as well. You get Wysick back, and he's very, very offensive minded this year. I mean, there's a lot of plays where he was up behind the goaltender, which a little scary sometimes, but every single time you saw Kevin or whoever switch back to play D, and I think that's a very good thing to see. But on the power play specifically, that goal was just a nifty. I believe it was Zada slides in from the point, and I didn't even see him. I got puck watching behind the net, and I believe it was Kevin just fed Zada wide open in the slot. No one else saw him come in down there, and it just looked like that was the play they were looking for. And man, what a breath of fresh air it is to finally see the power play start to click.
Yeah, just a great play there by Kevin He to start that whole thing off and then find Ethan Zada. And we talk about Kevin He's goal-scoring ability, but he's got underrated playmaking ability as well, and he put that on display tonight with a great performance that we'll continue to talk about here. Max Crete then gets a pair of goals there within 4 minutes of each other. His first one from set up, it was basically all Kevin He on that play because it was an all-world hit in the defensive end for Kevin to steal the puck. Then he goes 5-hole on Gibbons, and he beats him, but it's just sitting there in the crease. Max Crete's able to kind of flush that one in, but that was a heck of a play by Kevin He to start it.
It's funny. Kevin crushed Harding when the puck got sent out to him on the breakout, and he just blew him up and then immediately fired at 5-hole. And I thought it went in right off him, but Crete's able to bang it home. But my goodness, that was it showed all of the abilities that Kevin's got. We've talked about his skating over the years and his shot being so good, but last year you started to see some grit be added to his game. He got a lot more chippy. I believe he had 50 penalty minutes too. So you just see it, and then he goes to Jets camp, gets bigger, and he's a lot stronger than you'd anticipate. And yeah, man, he crushed him, and then just a great goal by Crete to finish it off the play. But that whole sequence, Kevin, just great job.
And then later in the period, Kevin He gets his first of the night from Matthew Paris and Andre Loshko. That was early in the second period there. The IceDogs had that 4-1 lead after the first. They come out quickly there, and Kevin He gets them on the board for Matthew Paris and Andre Loshko. And you just felt that with Kevin He tonight, he just had another level. He had 3 assists already leading up to then, and then gets his first goal of the night.
I think last year, we'll talk about the shorthanded one after, because I believe that was in the third. But you found that when there was breakaways, that sometimes they didn't finish. And I believe I don't know if they led the team. They didn't lead the league in shorthanded goals because I believe that was London last year because Easton Cowan just ate the league alive shorthanded. But I believe the IceDogs were up there in shorthanded goals. And we saw, again, just breakaway finish. He doesn't deke. He doesn't make a lot of moves. It's all in his shot, and it's just it's getting tougher and tougher for goalies to stop even when they're set up for it.
And then it was Kevin He once again taking the pass shorthanded from Andre Loshko and going in on, I believe at that point, Ivan Kovac had come in the game.
Yep.
And he just...
That was the turning point. Because when we saw, after the period ended, it was 4-1, we saw Ivan Kovac come in. we were both like, this is not over, right? And because again, he's such a good goaltender, one of the best in the league, and we're hopeful that the IceDogs can keep the pedal down, and they haven't played with a lot of leads over the last few years. You got to learn how to play with the lead. That's a real thing. We saw it last year where they would get a lead and then kind of give it up in the last minute, or they would lose in overtime. Those kinds of things. But man, this year they just came out and this game, in that next period when Ivan Kovac was in, first shot I think he faced, just blew it past him, and a great spot there, because once that one went in and made it 5-1, it felt like this might be different.
And then we saw a little bit of the funky business start to happen here in the middle period. The IceDogs were on a power play. Kevin He coming across the ice and gets cross-checked. I don't know if it was head or near the head, because we really haven't seen a good replay on it, if he got it in the chest or not. He remained down and was helped to the IceDogs locker room at that time. And right the shift after Kevin He was taken out there, we saw a big scrum in the neutral zone, and leading to one of the wildest things that we've seen here at the Meridian Centre in quite some time. Jack Ivan Kovac, who, welcome to the game. Owen Flores has been looking for a fight since last year. He every time there seems to be a scrum, he's always circling around the blue line. He finally met his match here tonight. Him and Jack Ivan Kovac go out for an old-fashioned goaltending fight. Flores takes him down pretty easily. Both of them get game misconducts, and they're going to get one additional game for the staged fight afterward. But that really got the Meridian Centre home crowd going. But what a sight to see at that point.
Well, I mean, even while the reason why they're getting that second suspension is because Ray was already fighting in the neutral zone. Again, this team is just far different than in the past. Like last year, even when the team had improved over the really bottom out year, the year before, it was so many 16-year-olds in the lineup, young players, things like that. We've got guys now in the bottom six, or all the way throughout the lineup. They're going to stick up for each other and be able to handle their business. So Kevin He gets hurt, their best player, and Mason Ray went and handled that. And then while that was going on, Flores finally got his fight. And I'll give it to Ivan Kovac, because Flores is kind of a nut, and he definitely took out any frustration he had over the last few years on him. And I think the spot was a little risky since it was only 4-1, but I think that when you consider that Gibbons looked like he was having a rough go, Ivan Kovac comes in, again, one of the best goalies in the OHL. The crowd is into it. The team is sticking up for each other. Flores says, hey, okay, I'll get Ivan Kovac out of the game. We got a great backup in Charlie Robinson. He'll come in and finish this one. And, we'll hear from head coach Ben Boudreau anyways, but he was looking to get Robertson in anyways, so that might have just been kind of a calculated decision there. And again, the crowd, the team on the looking at the team on the bench when Flores skated up there and they started going, it's just he really fired them up. And again, when you consider the stakes of this wasn't two bottom teams in the OHL over the last few years. This was the number one team. The IceDogs were expected to lose this game after the Steelheads have started out 4-0. And now, I believe, the only undefeated team in the Eastern Conference is the Niagara IceDogs. But that being said, again, when you see all of that and then the emotion and what makes hockey great, obviously we don't want to see anyone get hurt, but it is in the rule book where you're allowed to, answer the bell for decisions made on the ice. And top to bottom, there wasn't a player that didn't impact the game in some way.
Did you quickly want to talk about Van Vliet, because there looked like there was...
I did. I want to bring it because not a lot of people. You weren't at the game and you didn't see, and you were just watching the replays. Having Van Vliet on the team is something that I'm going to give a quick shout out to someone who got me into the IceDogs, my man Mason Howard, who was just an absolute animal on the back end. Couldn't skate, couldn't shoot, but my God, would he hit everyone. And Van Vliet, I think, is a little bit better player offensively and defensively than him, but nonetheless, having someone that can physically overpower pretty much anyone that's going to give any of the IceDog players, an issue. Ray has decided to drop the gloves, and the scrum was so big I couldn't even see who he fought, so I'm not sure who he fought on the Steelheads. There was another player from the Steelheads who tried to get in on the scrum, and Van Vliet just grabbed him, cowboy flipped him over onto the ground, and just kind of stood there and made it look like no. And that just settled things down while the other guys handled their stuff. So I want to give a shout out to Van Vliet because, again, if you weren't at the game or you didn't see it, it probably wasn't on the broadcast because it was kind of outside, but just a very funny moment to see another guy sticking up for his teammates.
It was 6-1 IceDogs at that point. Carmiris gets the goal, and we're both saying, okay, this is not a team.
Exactly, yeah.
This is not a team that you want to give a few goals to and give them some momentum because they have the firepower to come in bunches. So they scored that goal, but then Kevin He comes back after that unfortunate play where he left the game. ends up scoring his hat-trick goal and getting his 6th point of the night. Shout out to Darcy DeWatcher and Callum Chanowski getting the assists on that goal by Kevin He. 6th point of the night, hat-trick. What a way to respond coming back from a play and being hurt in the game. And Kevin He just puts an exclamation point on his home opener.
I'll give you my thoughts on that goal specifically. It was a 2-on-1, and I don't know who the other player was because every single person in the building, Jack Gibbons, every single Ice Dog and Steelheads player knew that Kevin was shooting there, and Kevin picked the corner cleanly and just taking his game to the next level. Unreal, kind of exclamation point or period on this game. And Kevin's best game ever as an OHLer? Gotta be. I can't think of many nights that, offensively he's always had some great performances, and I don't think it's his first hat trick. But nonetheless,
to take over like that.
Yeah, it was, again, against the best team, and it was all situations, like on the power play, shorthanded, even strength. It was just you're seeing why he's wearing a letter this year.
So the Ice Dogs take it 7-3, and we get through that amazing scoring summary tonight pretty quickly, I must say. But before we move on, Cam, 24 penalties in this game. Might be 1 or 2 more from my last count there. But the power play for the Ice Dogs, he, Lashko, Gallianov with Asadorian and Virgilio. What did you think of the first power play unit? I'm still saying they scored 2 goals because I don't know where that second one went. So, again, as you mentioned at the Open, a good power play percentage. What are you liking from the way that the power play is kind of being structured right now?
Well, in the prior years, and even the latter stage when head coach Boudreau took over last year, it was very basic, and it looked like they were just trying to feed Robrick or Kevin, and everyone kind of knew that. You could see it. And this time, they are starting, it looks like they're starting their cycle down low, and they're keeping it there and starting the power play and kind of quarterbacking it from the left or right of the net. And again, that Zada goal was a perfectly executed power play goal. Like, no one saw him get open in the middle. And I think that things are just going really well right now. And again, going 1 for 5, again, the power play is among the best in the league right now. And after last year when it was finished at, 9%? What we needed, it's not going to clip at 40% the rest of the year. But like we said, they probably make the playoffs if it's 15. And as it stands right now, everyone looks at it. I will say that Lashko, I feel for Lashko a little bit here because I think that he little snake bitten on his shots. There was a couple opportunities he had where he made some great plays, and he did end up with a couple assists, I believe. But there was a couple one-timers where he just got fed in his skates, and they got him open for a clean one-timer on the power play, which last year was just hard to do, and they just got him in his skates a couple times. So I feel for him there because there was a few plays. Even Kevin had one where he missed him just on the back door, but I think that he's been a great addition, a surprise addition, and exactly what the team needed as well.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better waiver claim than Andre Lashko coming in. Lastly, Gallianov. He was snake-bitten tonight, but he had a lot of chances. He was all over the ice tonight. Defensive zone, offensive zone. He was hitting people. You can tell when Ivan Gallianov is in that zone, he's a very valuable player for this team, and he probably could have had 2 or 3 goals tonight.
He's just very hyper. That's what, you know what I mean? And that's a great thing to have in a hockey player because he's just always going. And, I think that he is going to be one of the more fun players to watch as his time with the franchise continues. And he's always got a smile on his face. We saw him in the locker room afterwards. He's always having fun. And on the ice, he might not put up 50, 60 points, but he is a great role player, and it's only going to get better as he gets a little bit bigger.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here, catch our breath after what has been a wild home opener here for the Niagara IceDogs and a big win against the number 1 ranked Brampton Steelheads. But stay right here. Be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods and all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. We'll be right back.
In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today, 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicles in top running condition through their services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers came to expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers, who can feel confident they'll get the trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your cars. To find out more or to book service, contact them today. 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
The great guys over at Hockey Stick Man are sponsoring this video. If you play hockey but are sick of paying upwards of $400 for top-end sticks, check these guys out. There is seriously no better place to shop. The guys are fun, easy, and offer a stress-free experience from start to finish. They get pro stock sticks from major junior teams right up to the NHL teams and sell them for half the price that the same stick would sell for at a retail store. To further support their mission of saving hockey families money, they offer closeout options, which entail taking last year's retail models and blowing them out for less than wholesale prices. It's literally the best prices on the internet for their sticks. And the best sticks of all may be their Pro Blackout series, which provide a top-end stick with no graphics and literally less than half the price of a branded top-end retail model. It's always been their best-selling stick despite super cool pro stock options. It's a no-brainer to shop with these guys, and trust me, they are beauties. Head over to hockeystickman.ca/thearmchairgm and get $15 off your first order. That's hockeystickman.ca/thearmchairgm to get an additional $15 off your first order when you sign up on their website. Check out our friends at Hockey Stick Man.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
This is Alex Asadorian.
Hey, it's Ryan Roberg.
This is Ivan Galyanov.
This is Gavin Bryant.
And this is the
Dog Pound Podcast,
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to our Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods and all four of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are back with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs' home opening victory against the number one ranked team in all of the CHL in the Brampton Steelheads and improving to 4-0 on their 24-25 regular season. Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau in the postgame, what were your thoughts? I mean, we look at where the IceDogs were in the standings last year and how much of a struggle it was for them to even get to 10 wins last year. In the last 2 years, really. They're at 4 already through 4 games. And again, we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves. There's still 64 games left in the season, so let's level our expectations here. But for a team that has missed the playoffs the last 4 years, this has got to be an uplifting thing for those inside that dressing room, the coaching staff, everybody within the organization, the fan base that has stuck through a couple of really tough years with this organization, and a team that has so much pride and history of being a successful franchise. We've talked to alumni on our podcast as well, and how great it was coming to the rink at the Meridian Centre, a sold-out barn, and having all of that energy. For the IceDogs to start out the way that it has, I think this is... It feels a lot different I guess you could say, from the last couple of years with the way that Ben Boudreau is getting these guys to play, and it looks like they're buying in that they can beat any team on any given night, and they showed it here tonight.
Absolutely, and he's going to talk about it in there. He said something very interesting about when they played the Generals, because they kind of gave them too much respect and didn't have enough respect for themselves. Maybe early on they thought that, hey, we're just as good as them. Regardless, they obviously have to take all of their opponents seriously, and it's funny, as a fan of the IceDogs, who, again, I've been a big fan since, 2018, 2019, and the last few years, it's just it's not exhausting, obviously. We all watch hockey as an enjoyment, but it's tough going in every night and expecting a loss and then being surprised when they win, as opposed to expecting wins and, seeing them then. Like, tonight was, as a fan of the IceDogs, again, probably the most fun I have had watching not just the IceDogs, but any hockey in the last few years. And that's the great thing. When you start giving your fans a product that they're going to come out and watch, it raises everything. And we saw the reaction downstairs when we went and did our post-game interviews, that the vibe in the room and the players, it's just so much different than it was in years past. There wasn't a silent person in there, and I think that it's only going to continue. I don't want to look at the standings, get too ahead of ourselves, but when was the last time that the IceDogs had a 6-point lead on the last playoff spot? You know what I mean? Regardless if it's so early on, that means the team's still got to catch up, and banking these points early is going to be huge. There will be injuries, right? And that's going to happen, especially we've seen that with the IceDogs over the years. But on top of that, we've got a lot of players signed this year that are going to make the lineup. I mean, Levin was out tonight, and he might be one of our most consistent secondary scorers on the lineup. And when you see Doherty have to step up, who was penciled into the fourth line, they just acquired him after moving Vermeulen. It's everything just keeps rolling. And remember last year when they beat Kitchener with a 16-player squad, and Ben said that if we can win this game, we can literally win any other game. Now they've got the talent in place. They have the coaching in place, and it just, everything is kind of rolling together, and I'm really excited to watch, especially next week, because I think next week, low-key, might be a bit of a trap game after how this one went.
Do you think, before we hit Ben Boudreau here, on the Brampton side of things, they come in off a high, they beat the London Knights 6-3, they're getting all the praise within the CHL, they're the number one ranked team coming in. I don't want to say that they didn't take the IceDogs seriously, but given their track record against the IceDogs, who have only won one game against them in their last 12, a lot of the players here have been with the Steelheads for that long, from the time with Mississauga as well. So do you think that they came in riding too much of a high and the IceDogs just took it to them, or do you think that this Steelheads team did not expect what they were going to get from this IceDogs team today?
I think this is what we're going to see throughout this season, is the IceDogs have been the worst team in the league the last few seasons, and they see that and they're like, this is a cookie night. We're gonna win the game, but we're gonna, the big dogs are gonna try extra harder offensively to get their cookies. And again, 18 seconds in, Porter Martone with a great goal, individual effort. We're like, oh my goodness. Now the bench sees that, they expect to win. This is going to be an easy game. They're 4-0. They just beat London, and then the IceDogs, like I said, they hemmed them in the rest of that first period. There was a lot of easy skating, a lot of clean breakouts. They took some penalties, and the IceDogs made them pay. The biggest thing is that their power play actually matters now, because when the IceDogs would get a power play, it didn't really matter last year. And that's just deflating for the IceDogs players, and that isn't the case tonight. I will say that I think things are going to get a lot tougher now, because especially after tonight, I would expect some national, or at least provincial, given the OHL, but given the OHL spotlight on the IceDogs, we're going to start seeing a lot less of the backup goalies. We've seen that over the last few years, where again, maybe Ivan Kovic goes back-to-back in this game, knowing the IceDogs are legit. OHL teams go through massive cycles. We see it every year. Some are much longer than others. I mean, Erie went, 5 years without playoffs, right? So you don't really know when a team has arrived, and the IceDogs might be arriving, and we're just catching teams off guard, but I think we're going to see a massive correction coming up over the next little while, especially with again, this wasn't a 3-2 overtime. They somehow survived against the Steelheads. This was a whooping start to finish.
Yeah, I think that teams are going to start to take notice of this, and those backup goalies might save them for one of those other games, the way the season has started for the IceDogs. That's a good point to bring up, and we'll hear from head coach Ben Boudreau right now on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here is the IceDogs head coach on his thoughts on his team's performance, not only through this game, but the first 4 games, starting off their 24-25 OHL regular season with an undefeated 4-0 record.
opening game at home. I don't think you could have asked for too much more. Just generally speaking, how happy are you with that effort and what happened out there tonight?
I'm pretty happy for the first 59 minutes and 20 seconds of the game.
Right.
I mean, you never want to get scored on your first shot, first shift. I mean, in the first 15 seconds, it could have gone the other way. But
yes,
I want to say this is the script and the resiliency of our team. I think we're starting to see a trend a little bit. When we went down, in any game, we had belief that we could come back. And so we just kept plugging away. And when we had an opportunity to score, we scored. So outside of the score and all the other things, I think it's a mentality and a belief with our team that we can accomplish anything as long as we're doing it together. So, the way we've won the last 4 games, I know there's been some individuals that stand out on the stat sheet, but we've won as a team, and that's my favorite thing to be preaching. And looking back, collectively we did it as a group, and that's the way we need to play.
Sure. A lot of jam out there tonight too. You backed each other up. How much does that play into the confidence thing when guys are helping each other out like that?
Well, again, that's just our team. We got to play as a team. You could see in any type of scrums how we got 5 guys in there, and we called that just a dog pack where, if one's in trouble, we got 5 guys coming. And like I said, we do everything as brethren in there, and I think it's really starting to show. And nobody would have predicted the IceDogs to go 4-0 against the likes of Ottawa, Kingston, Oshawa, and obviously Brampton being number 1 ranked team in the country.
Right.
But when you have belief in yourself, you can accomplish anything, and that's the same for the 20 guys in the lineup every single night. And our staff, our support staff, our ownership, everybody all believes in this thing, and we're taking it one day at a time. So it's been off to a dream start, but we're not satisfied. We've got to keep our pedal down on the floor.
For sure. Your goalie comes out and gets into a fight. What's the thought there? Because you like the gumption, you like the moxie, but you're also taking him out of the game then, right?
Well, if it's a 3-2 game, maybe you don't like that. But, it's a 4-1 game. He's fighting for our guys. And, at that moment right there, he's already played 4 games. I didn't hate it because, I felt guilty not playing Charlie. And at least this way, it's kind of a win-win situation. All right, Flo gets it in there. Maybe sell a couple tickets to the next game, make the owner happy. But Charlie gets some experience as well, too. Right. And it's not that he's not a capable goalie. He's more than capable, like we said, a 1-2. But we also said, hey, you win, you play, and Flores hasn't stopped winning yet, so almost felt guilty. I didn't want to go back on my word either, but having Charlie play and Flores fight, I think that was the opportune time. And if anybody would have watched our bench and the reaction when he got him down, we were just fired up, and instead of sitting at 4-1, we found a way to get it up to 7. So I look at that as a huge turning point for the better for us.
For sure. Now, is he going to get suspended for that?
Probably. Second fight.
2 games?
I think it's automatic 2 games because I remember Andrew Vermeulen got a second fight in and got 2 last year. So more than likely, but if it doesn't happen, we'll take him in a heartbeat. But if it does, then Charlie's been waiting to get in, and we'll rely on Charlie.
Sure. Just call up Humphreys there if you need.
I would assume.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's all I need.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
You think that?
So you beat the number 1 team in the league. Where do you hope to be in the rankings next week? Or do you care about that stuff?
You know what? I would say that I don't care about that stuff, but I'd be lying to you, Bern. And it's not that we want the recognition. As we use that as a spur right in our side. We printed off the power rankings in a big sheet, and we posted it all over the locker room. And we said, this is what the hockey world thinks of us right now, and we're out here to prove people wrong. And we can't say, the last 6 years in this organization or anything that happened before I got here would give them that idea, and that they should. But we're here to change the script and change the culture, and it's not easy. And so we're not happy with 4 games, but we want to keep going 5, 6, 7, whatever we can get to. As long as we got our guys healthy, we got to win. And when we are winning, you want to see people really start changing that mindset. And even with Brampton being as good as they were, starting their backup against the lonely old IceDogs, I think we caught them by surprise, 4 goals in the first. So at some point, you want to see some respect. So if we wake up in the morning and the power rankings get us a little bit higher, I think that's something where we've proven to ourselves we are a team that belongs.
Okay, thanks.
Max Crete, what a start for that young man. 3 goals. His first one was in the empty net, so for first 2 here tonight, seems like a bulldog out there. He's not really backing down to anybody out there. What have you liked from the young number 23 so far?
Well, I've liked everything. He's very coachable. He's got a lot of grit. responds very well. I leaned into him pretty hard after the first shift where he didn't throw hits, and he came back with a block shot, 2 hits, and a goal in his second shift of the game. Responded extremely well. So that's what you want to see from your players, and it shows two-way respect when you can challenge somebody and have them respond. But yeah, he's 4 games into his OHL career, much like Brady Waslin, much like any of our young rookies, Rubric and Zada and Gallianov and all these guys last year. And the quicker they can help us make an impact, the better our team's going to be. After 4 games, Waslin had 2 goals and assists. On the 4th game, Creeder stepped up. Rubric has been scoring goals. Zada on the power play tonight. And I know Kevin gets a lot of the attention, but our depth has been really helping us win, and we're not putting it all on the shoulders of our top line right now.
Other than the first 18 seconds, could you have dreamt for a better start for this team, earning the respect of obviously the number 1 ranked team in all the CHL, having that start in your home opener? Like, is there any better of a start that you could have asked for as a coach with the way that this game unfolded?
No, and I think your first thing is, could you have dreamed it? Yeah, I dreamed it ever since we won on Friday, coming back on the bus saying I want it, and that's what we say, keep the pedal down on the floor, like want it and believe in it, and I think we hyped up Oshawa a little bit too much, and I don't think we touched the puck in the first period for the first 13 minutes, so even as me as a coach, I've said, hey, instead of giving the other team respect, start giving yourself some. And like we said, we're starting to prove it to everybody, including ourselves, that we're a pretty good hockey team when we play as a team. So this is a fun group to be around right now. 2 weekends, 7 weeks into the season, and I think we're on the right page. So as long as we keep going, I think we should be fine.
And lastly, you talked about this being the toughest stretch last weekend when you spoke to us about this week coming up with Oshawa and Brampton. The way that the team's played is everything that you've worked on in the offseason and training camp and getting the roster rebuilt on the fly here. Is this the way that you want this group to play all season long and be able to have this competitiveness throughout the year and gaining that respect back in the league?
Well, 100%. I mean, like we said, it's a 26-week grind that we just got to keep on going and make sure we keep our pedal down on the floor. But I have a lot of respect for Scott Ray, who's now the head coach in Owen Sound, and they were in a position that the IceDogs were. They're not supposed to win, but they're going to be a very well-coached team, and we have to be ready for our next opponent next Friday. So I don't want to take days off and just say, hey, we've done a good job coming this far. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep on going and keep pushing to get better every single day. So we're already setting our sights to next weekend, North Bay, Owen Sound. I mean, 2 teams that we want to make sure that we're paying back for some of the losses that they gave us last year. So this is something that absolutely we thought we're capable of, and we're just putting a plan into action right now, and it's good to see the fruits of our labor.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations, and see you next week.
Thanks, Brian.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, what did you... I mean, there were some good sound bites there about, I was dreaming about it. Wouldn't be lying to you if they had the power rankings posted so that they could give the players some motivation there to show that they not a lot of teams had given them much of a chance going into this season. But, he's making them believe in that room that they're going to be paying some receipts after some tough losses the last couple of years, and they're going to be on the other end of this coming out.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that that's something that it's going to be easy this season to manufacture motivation because of how poorly the last 2 years go, and maybe next year and things like that after a much more successful season now, regardless of what happens the rest of the season. I mean, I don't know if we've ever felt as good as doing the show as for the IceDogs. But that being said, the thing that I liked, I mentioned it before, that he's already thinking about Owen Sound. And Owen Sound currently off to a pretty rough start, and kind of as expected, they traded Colby Barlow. Correct? Yes.
Yeah, and Cedric Guindon, too.
Exactly. So they were an unbelievable team last year, and maybe surprised a lot. Carter George was the first goaltender off the board in the NHL draft. So obviously they're going through a rebuilding phase, and currently they're 1-3 in their first 4 games, only 2 points. And after you win a game like this now, you have to be careful to not just feel like what Brampton just felt, that you're expected to win against teams that are probably going through a rebuilding cycle, and it's going to be very important for the IceDogs to win these next 2 games. More important than this game was, in my opinion, because again, these are going to be against North Bay. We talked about it at length. They went in 2 years in a row, more than likely. They still have some Luca Romano. They still have some impressive players on that team, but it's top to bottom much worse than it was the last 2 seasons, and North Bay has been a kind of a powerhouse. And if they don't, not that they don't win these next 2, but if they don't show up, then that's going to be a little alarming just because it shows that they're, maybe getting a little too confident. You got to rein it in. So as long as they put forth great efforts in these next 2 games, that's going to go a long way. It's a long season. The Eastern Conference is just an absolute battle this season, and it's only going to get kind of bigger once the trades and everything start happening. But nonetheless, it was a big win tonight, and I think that what he mentioned about Oshawa Owen Sound is going to be very important.
He didn't have a problem with Flores at that time. He's always a coach that says he wants his players to wear their emotions out there on the ice. But in a 4-1 game, he wasn't upset with Flores going after that goalie fight.
Like I said, it's a 3-goal lead, so it's not like it's a 1-goal game. Right, they're really hemming him in. It's not like they had a lot of momentum. Kevin, he gets hit hard. The whole team is on the ice battling. Right, there wasn't multiple fights, but there was one and a lot of scrums. And Flores, if they didn't put Ivan Kovic back in, maybe that's a little bit of it. You know what I mean? And again, I don't think it mattered who was in net. I don't think that really crossed Flores' mind. But when you take all of the situations in, Ivan Kovic goes into the game, and he accepts the tilt, and now he's out of the game. And Givens, who's clearly struggling. Just in this one, still I think a great goaltender, just wasn't his night. And you get Robertson into the game. I think it was just a win all the way around. You got everyone involved, and he's going to take a couple nights off now. Robertson's going to get into play, and it's against 2 teams that, again, aren't going to put up 100 shots a game and have that top-end talent top to bottom. So I think it was just a kind of a win-win-win all the way around, and in sort of a chemistry or team-building standpoint.
Some national attention from some bigger outlets
we
as well.
We did saw that, yeah. Anytime there's a goalie fight, you're going to see a lot of that. And fortunately for the IceDogs fan, Flores really handled his business tonight.
Yeah, against the top goalie prospect in the upcoming 2025 NHL draft and Jack Ivan Kovic. But with that said, we'll get to our IceDogs player interview tonight, brought to you by Cully's Original Sports Bar, proud supporter of Niagara IceDogs hockey. Whether you're gearing up for a game or celebrating a big win, Cully's is the place to be before and after every IceDogs matchup. Just a short walk from the Meridian Centre. Cully's, it happens here. And it is with IceDogs rookie Max Crete following his 2-goal performance, 3rd goal of the season here, and we'll hear from the IceDogs 2nd-round draft pick right now. Here with IceDogs rookie forward Max Crete after 2-goal performance. Max, I know you didn't script that as your first goal, scoring in the empty netter away from the Meridian Centre here, but first home appearance, home opener against the number 1 team in the CHL, and you guys take it to them. How are you feeling after this one?
Oh, wow, we're feeling great. I mean, we're on top of the world right now. That's what we feel, and we're going to keep building. I mean, no one really believed in us in the start of the season, and we're showing that we're a great team, and we're just going to keep playing like we're playing.
And you're obviously a bulldog out there. You like to get under the other team's skin. You're ready to fight there after one of the whistles as well. So does that kind of get you really in the game, being able to go out there and be hungry and be aggressive with the other team? Does that really get you in the zone?
Yeah, 100%. I always try to lay a hit first shift to get me in the game, and when I saw that bad hit, I was just like, I want to stick up for my teammates, and unfortunately the refs didn't let us go, but I mean, it's thought that counts.
There was a lot of stuff going on out there tonight. I think it counted 24 or 25 penalties. 2 Central Division teams going at it. Kevin, got hit, left the game, came back. We had a goalie fight today. So what was all the emotions out there tonight with the guys?
Just absolutely insane. That's probably the craziest game I've ever seen in my life, and just never even seen a goalie fight either. That was just crazy. I mean, insane.
And how have you kind of been fitting in here? Obviously, coming in as a second round player and a 16-year-old, it's not easy in this league. So how have you kind of been adjusting here? And with the team's success, it's been nice as well. But how are you adjusting now to the OHL style?
I mean, I'm adjusting well. I mean, I got a lot of good players mentoring me, like Kevin and the older guys, and just the coaches, and they trust me. And I mean, it's a really good environment, and I love coming to the rink, and that's a big reason why I think I'm doing well and the team's doing well.
4-0 now. It's a pretty dream start for this team. You haven't been here, but it's been a couple of tough years here. So what's been the message here with these guys? Being able to have so much confidence, go up against some really good teams, Oshawa, Eastern Conference champions last year, Brampton, the number 1 ranked team in all the CHL, and you guys come away with a 4-0 start. Just talk about what the confidence has been like in that room so far.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, we 4-0. I mean, confidence is through the roof right now. We're playing well. Everyone's playing well. Everyone's chipping in. I mean, first game for Robertson, and he played well as well. Everyone's just feeling great, and it's just awesome.
IceDogs 2nd round rookie Max Crete. Congratulations on the win and continued success.
Thank you.
Amazing is the word of the day from Max Crete. But regardless, Cam, really good performance there from the IceDogs 2nd round rookie. 3rd goal already. Only 4 games into his OHL career. but to me, he already looks like a veteran out there with the poise that he has out there on the ice. He's not afraid of anybody out there. He was ready to fight at multiple times against some bigger players there on the Brampton Steelheads, but so far through the small sample size of 4 games, really like we see from Max Crete.
I mean, we got told at the draft by, again, some scouting pundits that, the IceDogs had a great draft in the first few rounds, and Crete was a big reason of that. He fell to them in the second round, and a lot of people had him penciled into the first, and one of the things that we got told was that he is going to be a fan favorite, and again, he was itching for that fight early on, immediately dropped his gloves, but I think he might have did it a little bit too early because his dance partner, I don't know, was really, really ready and waiting. But you got to give him some credit there because I think that anytime that you see someone get hit hard, he is going to stand up for him. And we lost probably the best player on the team for that in Federico last year. So they're going to have to find some guys that will do that. And there's a lot on the roster, as we saw tonight. But as a 16-year-old not being afraid to do that, just extremely impressive, and you get to talk to him afterwards, and just seems like a lot more mature than for a 16-year-old hockey player. Again, we talked about it last year that one of the most impressive things was that we had so many 16-year-olds in the lineup, and they're really just trying to survive the first season, and ours just seemed to thrive right out of the gate. So love that he's getting in offensively as well, but more importantly, I think that the physicality and the not being scared of anything is a massive attribute to his personality on the ice.
And limited playing time as well. 4th line starting out the season.
Yeah, so I don't think that'll last.
Yeah, he's going to work his way up the lineup sooner rather than later, and you get the Max Crete seal of approval for your No Sleeves gaming content.
I love that. Yeah, the first IceDog player to recognize me for my YouTube channel. So I love that.
Shout out to Max Crete for that. But we'll get out of here after we get Cam's stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man, Pro Stock Hockey Sticks from major junior teams right up to the NHL teams for half the price. Stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission of saving hockey families money. I mean, Cam, is it going to be anybody other than Kevin Heath?
No, I like to kind of shout out the guys that maybe don't get the most amount of love. But 6 points, a hat trick, dominant performance. He did it every single way. That hit on Harding to just blow him up in front of the goalie and then essentially score. He gave Crete maybe it might have been an easier goal than his empty netter, the first of his career. So Kevin just looks like exactly what an NHL prospect in the OHL really, or the NHL kind of looks like. He comes back with confidence after going to the main camp, got an assist in one of the preseason games, and he just looks now that he's barking orders in practice and really leading on the ice. And my goodness, his shot looks even more electric than it did the last 2 seasons. I'm really excited for him to get a lot of national attention. On top of that, the way too early leaders in terms of offense and just statistical categories. But when you take a look at the point leaders now, Porter Martone with 13 in 5 games. Obviously, they held him in check a little bit tonight. He didn't get his usual 3, but now Kevin Heath tied for 3rd in the OHL with 11 through 4 games. Just a great performance from him. And then 2nd in the league in goals behind Michael Misa, who has double digits already. So, he's in elite company there, and just really, really fun to watch early on. Got to give a shout out to Flores as well, though, because in terms of goalie stats, Flores has never been surprising IceDog fans because he's held them in games where they should have lost by 7 more often than not of the last few years. Currently, right now, he's 3rd in the OHL in save percentage at .938. And I mean, anything over .910 in the OHL is just elite. So a great job there, and he's only behind Joey Costanzo. Windsor's got to be the most surprising team, more surprising than the IceDogs because they've won every game by 5 goals. And then Ivan Kovic, who's tied at .943. So just a great job from him. And again, top to bottom, best IceDog game I've seen in the last 5 years.
Surprised you didn't give your player of the game to Noah Van Vliet tonight.
I love watching him. That is my favorite type of player, so I'm a little bit biased. But, the big defenseman that just absolutely runs roughshod over the other team, that's always my favorite type of player. So, yeah, shout out Van Vliet because he is just so much fun to watch.
Well, Cam, thanks for doing this. We've got 4 straight, including tonight, post-game recaps coming up with IceDogs playing Owen Sound next Friday and North Bay next Saturday before they play against the Ottawa 67s the following Thursday. So it's been fun, and hopefully we can have more of these this season.
Absolutely. Big game on Friday. Got to have that one.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap up our Dog Pound podcast. post-game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Thank you to everybody tuning in live today on our YouTube page. Please make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell if you want to see more live content here. And thank you to those listening on your favorite on-demand audio platform the next day when this is posted on Monday. So for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's it. The IceDogs win their home opener against the #1 ranked team in the CHL against the Brampton Steelheads 6-3 here on Sunday afternoon in front of 3,289 in downtown St. Catharines at the Meridian Centre. We'll talk to you guys next week, and we'll see if the IceDogs can continue on.